Hi, this is Brett Livingston from Rage Badger Gaming, and we're going to take a look at some of the new classes and cards revealed from PAX Jaws of the Lion for Gloomhaven. The first thing that stuck out to me was the Redguard. Redguard is a Valrath, and I'm going to put the art up here. Bing! What's cool about the Redguard? Good health, decent hand size, and he seems to key off the mechanics of kind of having shield and retaliate. The card, Shield Spikes, builds off there where whenever he has shield, he always has retaliate equal to his shield. And I think a lot of people are going to build off that, and I think you're supposed to. It's a little bit new to the game, so concepts like passive effects like shield and retaliate are really easier for beginners to grasp. Not only that, but he has other ways of gaining shield, at least temporarily. It's kind of annoying that his bottom half on that card is really good with a move and a shield to get yourself into position. He uses fire and light a lot. I think Jaws of the Lion, from the 3 classes revealed so far, have a little bit more elemental reliance than the 6 starters from Gloomhaven. The Redguard, the Demolitionist, and the Hatchet all definitely use elements at least a little bit. A few cards stick out on the Redguard. In particular, I actually was pretty fond of Twirling Stabs, which seems really weak with an attack 2, 1 experience, but you get to attack 2 everything adjacent to you. And at level 1, that honestly is a lot for just a really basic attack. And since some of the attacks actually key off of elements, there is a very interesting set of cards. They have Loot and Empower Fire and Loot and Empower Light on the bottom, and respectively an attack 3 at range that also empowers Fire or Light. And one of them is a Pull, and the other is an Immobilize. The cool part is you can actually do a ranged attack and immobilize someone, Empower Light to set up one of your other turns. And immobilizing something at range, especially if it's a melee thing, you're gonna that's basically one of the best forms of crowd control there is. Also, Twirling Stab's bottom half, if you don't like that attack 2 all, you actually get an attack 2 on bottom that if you burn light in the process, you wound them. So, if you're like, well, you know what, I don't need to attack everything. You've got an attack on bottom now, which I always love those. So the Redguard has a lot of options. There's actually a lot of those, what I was saying, pushes, pulls, and immobilize. The Redguard seems to be armed with a lot of lower attack ones beyond Precision Strike. Precision Strike is one of the big heavy hitters. It's an attack 7 with advantage, which is huge, but you have to have fire active and they have to have a negative status on them. So it's a bit conditional and it's a loss, but that is about as hard as you're going to get it for level 1 basic attacks. Warrior of the Sun is also really good. It's another bottom half attack where you can burn the light with an attack 2 and muddle them, or on top, you just immobilize everyone next to you and gain a shield, which pairs really well with those spikes. Since they're immobilized, especially if they're ranged attacks, they're now immobilized next to you, and they're going to have to shoot at you at disadvantage and get retaliated. I'm not a huge fan of retaliate, but I feel like the Redguard is one of the ones that does it very well. Before I continue any further, we're going to be doing a lot of new previews for Jaws of the Lion and Frosthaven, so subscribe if you want more updates, and like the video if you think that I provided something informative, or maybe I was just goofy enough that you liked it. So without further ado, let's keep going. So the next is the Demolitionist, who I'm also very fond of. Stuns. There's a couple stuns in there, and there's a lot of damage, and it's a little conditional. The thing is where the Redguard kind of keyed off of like getting shields and retaliates. The Demolitionist wants things to be near obstacles, wants obstacles to exist so they can destroy them, or more often, enemies against walls. The Demolitionist has several cards that do extra effects if you're attacking an enemy that is adjacent to a wall. The cool part is also there's effects where they're just naturally going to push, or you can burn elements to knock opponents back. So you could potentially pair a late initiative card, knock them back, go early next round, and hit them really hard. Some of these cards, we're literally talking attack 5 non-losses, where you can just say, you're against a wall, attack 5. It's at level 1, those are the things that are just going to add up to just, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead. And the Demolitionist will excel there. One of the ones I really liked was Explosive Blitz. First off, low initiative at 19, big fan of it, and it empowers fire. So you can get 2 attacks, it's a target 2, at range. So you can target 2 things at range, just do 2 damage to each of them. That's not bad. And you empower fire, which you can use later. Or the bottom half, which is a loss. It's a move 4 that gives you 2 experience, which doesn't sound super great, but then if you open a door as part of this movement, at the end of this movement, stun all enemies within range 2 of you. Kick in the door and stun all the enemies and then let your whole party run in. The Demolitionist is doing this so well. The Demolitionist also has an X card called Rubble, which allows it to create an obstacle at range 2, and then everything next to the obstacle created gets suffers 1 damage. It can then interact with these obstacles where if it's next to an obstacle, it can destroy it. And the Demolitionist has cards like Crushing Might and Knock Out the Support, where it can get increased move or attack until its next rest, but it needs to interact with an obstacle. So being able to create your own obstacles is really key here. If there are already some on the map, not only can you get rid of it blocking your path, if you need to, you can give yourself a nice little buff until your next rest. So the Demolitionist definitely seems to interact more with the map, the walls, the obstacles, creating obstacles, opening doors and stunning things, and it's a pretty heavy hitter. It's got a small hand size, and it's only got moderate health. So it's not, it's clearly meant that it's going to blow up, it's going to burn bright and out fast, which honestly kind of fits the theme of Demolitionist. And last but not least is the Hatchet. Now you might be confused, where's the Void Warden? Guess it wasn't at PAX. So we're going to look at the Hatchet. The Hatchet is all about this ability called the Favorite. It picks its favorite axe. And it says that, hey, for the rest of the game, you've got 1 token, and you can burn this axe, and it gets +3 to whatever attack you want. Not attack action, just attack. So there's a bunch of these multi-target things it's got, so you can only get the +3 to one of them. Then, if the target survives that attack, you give your token to that enemy. If the target dies, you put it where it stood. If the target would die, with that token on it, it drops it. The Hatchet can loot it and put it back on that card, and then it gets +3 attack again the next time it burns it. So really your interaction is all about what to do with that favorite axe and getting it back. There are also ways to actually literally get it back, and there are cards that punish the enemy for having it. Then there's other ones that are just attack 3 and then +3 attack if you're hitting the target that has your axe. It's just a free attack, it's not a loss. Your attack 6, whatever has your axe, that's going to drop it immediately. There's not much that's going to really survive that, at least at the low levels. Retrieval is attack 3 and you get your Hatchet back if you hit the target that has it. It's pretty simple there. When I saw the Hatchet, I saw a mix of melee and ranged from the cards, and I saw a bunch of axes. I saw you using 2 axes, so I almost figured this is a melee, but he's clearly chucking some of those, so that's actually pretty cool. And there's a lot of multi-target in here, so it looks like not only can the Hatchet use its powerful axe, its favorite axe, and hit really hard, but sometimes it can multi-attack and kind of AoE. Follow through is an attack 2 at range, but you get an experience and it turns into attack 4 at range if it's attacking the target that has your Hatchet. It's one of those. It clearly outclasses some of the other ranged attacks like Solid Bow or Manibolt. I don't want some of these loot cards, which it does have access to. Fancy Hat was kind of silly because the name. The top half is like a move 2, shield 2 loss, which I wasn't too hugely fond of, but with its super quick 12 initiative and its bonus is +1 to all attacks this round. That's all of your attacks, so if you've got a multi-target ranged attack or just an AoE, you're going to +1 to everything. Combined with your favorite, you can actually pile up some really powerful attacks with this. So honestly, the Hatchet seriously has some good damage, good range damage, and you just have to be sure not to leave your Hatchet behind. If you move on to another room and leave your favorite Hatchet on the floor, yeah, you've made a huge mistake. So, whereas the Demolitionist keys off of those walls and those obstacles, the Hatchet keys off of its Hatchet. To no surprise. One thing I thought was pretty interesting is Disorienting Barrage. It's only an attack 1 at range 3, which seems like a super weak start, but it muddles all the targets and target 3. So being able to muddle 3 enemies and maybe key off of adding a little bit of damage, it's going to key well with the Redguard. If you just muddle a bunch of targets and then they attack him muddled, he's not going to take much damage. And he's going to have that retaliate up from his shield spikes. So he not only is going to take much damage, he's going to dish it back. 'Cause the shield spikes don't care how much damage that gets dealt to him. They just need to make sure he's got a shield up. So honestly, this is a really good group composition. I think that was well designed. So these classes, the Redguard, the Demolitionist, and the Hatchet, all feel pretty unique and distinct from the original Gloomhaven starters. And even separate from the Frosthaven starters. With Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion, and Frosthaven, and Forgotten Circles, we've got so many starter classes now, and none of them really feel like they're overlapping too much. So, I mean, kudos to Isaac for having such great design. I think that's really all we got from PAX that related to Jaws of the Lion. They did show off the Necromancer, and there were some changes, but we'll be covering that in our Road to Frosthaven series. So thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. And if you have an opinion on any of these classes, just leave a comment below. Happy adventures. Sparta! I'm going to re-record that. La 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 la. My God, load faster. No! Which cat are you? I don't even know what to get out of the light box. Meow! You're literally in the light box. I see your cat ears. This is not helping. You're going after it. I don't know how to sign off. Yeah, good enough. One of those is usable.